story.
Did Midge go and solo the track from the kind of camaraderie?
Sorry?
Did Midge solo the track from the camaraderie of the band?
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that? 'Cause as I said, you won't hear my voice, all you hear is yeah.
Well, I was quite up for it, but because, okay, if you've got the energy, go for it, you know. But I really felt that it was a bit kind of opportunistic in a way, because I think it would have been better if we wanted Ultravox to carry on, and I was beginning to think then that Midge didn't really, he was more interested in his own thing. It would have been better for us all to actually take a break, including him, because he never yeah, let's go. And it was the beginning of the end. But it was kind of engineered a bit like that. I mean, I knew that was looming round the corner. And it's a classic case of that band's done 3 albums now. They're on the 4th. Let's get the Greatest Hits album out. But I didn't realise at the time. I mean, I was pretty green. I was just kind of up for it. I mean, I was pretty much that kind of a guy. And I would have gone on and on to the end. I was a bit like that, you know. And even when the band broke up, when we did that rubbish album, Uvox, when Midge was tired and didn't really want to do it, and it was, you know, we ended up kicking Warren out, which was something. All these things happened because we didn't stop. We just hadn't got that about us to just say, hey, come on, let's just respect each other a bit. We're knackered, you know. And then, but I was the kind of guy that would tend to go on and on and on, and I was definitely a bit like, well, I've got loads of ideas, you know, because I did a solo album when it all fell apart in about 1987, and they weren't very easy to come, but it's full of ideas, you know. So, you know, it's like we just needed to just, but that's the problem, as I'm sure when you spoke to other people, the nature of it is that you're living in each other's pockets, you know, and you just get sick of each other, really, you know what I mean?
Going back to
in a slightly irrational way, you know.
Sure. If I could take you back a little bit. The Men Came Out. You say that it's not the, you know, quite the atmosphere that it was. However, you know, Dancing with Tears in My Eyes. Yeah,
it was good. Well, I'm Mr. Know-It-All, basically. I mean, when it first happened, Midge, because there was a carcass there, instead of kind of all clubbing together and let's try and do something, come up with a difference, Midge was rather blaming. He did drum it down a little bit and put it in such a way which was like, I think the first day of the rehearsals was he sort of said pretty much, he's sick of my ideas, sick of my playing. I mean, these things happen, you know, I mean, God, you know, and I just took that as a pinch of salt. It's just like, yeah, sure, you know, why are you here? And I ended up writing that track, so, you know, there we go.
Lyrically, where did that come from?
Because you see, I knew we were at that stage where it's a time to recapitulate and pull in what you've got. Of course, you need to get new ideas, but don't let's crack up over it. There's also some of the stuff, the traditional Ultravox. I know that's a dangerous word, isn't it? But it was a little bit. Let's back it up with some of that as well. And I remember writing that. It crept in a little bit where we started writing things in at home and bringing it in, you know, which was seriously annoying. No, but I used to write, I wrote that at home. Dun, 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 dun. And it was influenced from a German guy called Michael Rother, who used to be in Cluster, I think. This is from Connie Plank, you know. And he did this guitar album with these very kind of it was quite static, whereas ours is much more anthemic. But it's the same kind of thing of slightly strange crossover between classical and rock. Like only the Germans could do it. It was like, this is weird, this is. But then we did it, and in such a way, and it just dropped out easy. You know, you can tell. I mean, we couldn't see the wood for the trees then at all. And again, it took someone like Chris Wright from Chrysalis to say, that's the one. You know.
What about...
sorry, just stop us a minute. We're just about to get booked on the meeting.
Okay. That's right.
Bear with us, I'll just go...
Sure, yeah.
In a way, did that spend the end for you, Midge's, you know, went off?
Well, no, it wouldn't have done. Again, I mean, I'm a reasonable chap, honest, you know.
Yeah.
Probably too reasonable, you know, too nice a bloke. But obviously, I mean, I was not stupid. I mean, I was quite... but it was a little bit of... I think it was the way me and Warren were sort of snubbed publicly in Band Aid, I found that a bit of a nasty thing to do. And it smacked a little bit of Bob used to come to Midge's parties and stuff, you know, and they used to separate themselves. It was all going a little bit pear-shaped, and Bob was frustrated about his solo career doing nothing. Obviously Midge was doing fantastic, but it's probably time to leave the band. You know, I think he was getting in his ear a bit. Well, he was. And but there again, these things happen for a reason. You know, I mean, I was absolutely shattered as well. You know, I was wanting to do that Lament album, but I was also a bit of a head case at the time. I was getting a bit worn out by it all. But it kind of did a bit, really, because, I mean, I kept it inside, and Warren did. And but it was like, hey, come on, you know, shit, you know, let's get upset about it. But it did feel a bit like, well, Christ, if Bob Geldof can invite all his band and there's all Spandau Ballet there, why